Hi, I'm Dr. Rob Silverman, host of Proven Health Alternatives. We've got a great episode today. We have Dr. Tim, aka WodDoc. This gentleman does a great job. He is an elite leader in the area of chiropractic rehab. He's going to give you key takeaways on tape, functional movement, cupping, and all about how to rehab your patients and rehab yourself. It's a must-see. Hey everybody, Dr. Rob Silverman here. Proven Health Alternatives. We've got superstar doctor, and I always say his name wrong, but I practiced for hours. Dr. Tim Simansky.
Simansky. That was close.
That was close, like semantics. I got it. I can't believe it. You want to try that over?
Simansky.
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 I guess that's all right. It's a Polish thing. We don't do anything right.
Oh, I'm not touching that, man. We're all PC over here on Proven Health Alternatives. So let me give you a little background on Dr. Tim. I've known Dr. Tim for several years. He's a fabulous doc, but here we go. He is a sports chiropractor and founder of Boston Injury Rehab Performance based out of Boston, Massachusetts. In addition, Dr. Tim is a master instructor for rock tape, traveling the country teaching a variety of movement techniques, including, but not limited to, kinesiotaping, IASTM, cupping, injury rehab. Dr. Tim, without question, this is true, without question, runs the longest running consecutive fitness vlog, WodDoc, I should know that because that's all I ever call you, which can be found via Instagram, YouTube, and WodDoc.com. Dr. Tim, tell me all about what a vlog is.
Well, vlog is just like a blog. Instead of writing, you video.
You video, awesome. Yeah. How many episodes do you have on WodDoc.com?
Today will be episode 1629.
So you don't miss. You don't miss. You don't take off for Christmas, New Year's, anything like that.
No. I've never missed since starting. I've never missed a day. Yeah, it just it started out as a 365. It's like, so I wanted to do it as a year-long thing, and then kind of got addicted to it, and it's just kind of like my outlet,
Cool. I mean, it's great. I mean, I watch it all the time. You got a lot of Instagram followers. It's great information. Everybody should watch it every day because he's giving you something every day as far as mobility, exercise, rehab, real leading edge, cutting edge kind of stuff. Things that, you're doing it sometimes in your apartment.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about doing it every day. It's not like, I will say this. These are the things that you play with is if I was to cut down episodes and do them once a week or twice a month or something like that, enhance the quality of it. I can make it look all pretty. And sometimes I think about doing that. But there's something authentic about doing something every day. So I can't have the same quality as I would, at least not without a team or something like that. And the team is me. I'm the only guy that does it. So a lot of the stuff comes you have to interact with your daily life. And the cool thing about that is that's how we interact with ourselves anyway. You can't always have everything set up perfectly. Nothing ever always works perfectly. And that's kind of how the vlog goes. The vlog is to kind of replicate that as well. Like these things happen and life goes on, but you can still get work done and you can still make time for those priorities. And also I think I jokingly say that people should know if I'm having a bad day, if I just got a parking ticket or if I just won the lottery, that will come across in persona, that will come across in demeanor. And I think that's part of the variety of the show, kind of speak,
Yeah, if you get a lottery ticket and you win, make sure you remember your good friend Rob over here. Do me a favor.
I was hoping for that $1 billion one. I'm still here, so
I'm online with you, right behind you, my friend.
Yeah.
So within that WodDoc.com, you do a lot of exercises, and you've got through those exercises, you've got a great niche in CrossFit and functional fitness. So pretty much everybody knows what CrossFit is, but why don't you give you a little take on that and how are you able to develop that niche?
Yeah. So CrossFit kind of puts themselves out there as, constantly varied exercises under different loads on different days and whatnot. And, they have a cute little speech for it and whatnot. But the thing that I guess I got into the niche of it, but like anyone else would. I did it, right? So you become part of that community. You become part of that organization, just like I'm sure that a lot of PTs who are, working with baseball, they'll probably start out as baseball players or football players and yada, 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 right? So I've always been a person, even like today, the way that I market myself is by being involved in the community that I'm working with, so CrossFit as a niche never started out as a plan. It was something that I liked to do, something that I got personal fulfillment out of it. And the thing about that is I was obviously, what's the word, I guess, passionate, right? I was passionate about fitness and about CrossFit and the community in it. So that passed along through the people that got to know me. A lot of times, like, people don't even know that I'm a chiropractor. They don't know it until, further along, and they'll see me in the gym. They'll see me doing like my normal routines. And then somebody will say like, oh, that guy helped me out with this, or that guy helped me out with that. And that's kind of how those things develop. And I think organically, that's how they should develop. I've never been good at, like, I'm a bad salesman. I'm really, really bad salesman. So going in and saying like, hey, my name's Dr. Tim. I have all these things and I can help you this way. It only costs this much. Man, those are shallow intentions. And I think they come off like pretty shallow. They're one-sided, and I've never had success. Certain people do. And I'm not saying that that's not a way to market yourself. It's just not a way I've ever been successful at it. So I think encompassing yourself within whatever society that is, whatever culture that is, whatever niche that is, that's the only way that you become part of it.
Well, you said you started doing CrossFit before you became niched in it, if you will. I mean, you were a college athlete. I remember you telling me, I think you were a wrestler, as I recall.
Yeah. I played a couple sports in college, wrestling and golf.
What a weird
I don't know how they're related, but I like them both.
Wow, great mix. I won't ask what your handicap is.
It's horrible now. It's horrible. It's like one of those things that when you play all the time, it takes constant work. Like, golf is a very difficult sport to stay consistent with, and your body changes, everything else like that. Like, so the way I swing now doesn't look like the way I swung when I wrestled 141 pounds in college.
141. Okay. We won't ask what you weigh now, but we know you're not 141.
No, I'm not 141 anymore. That's for sure.
It's funny, being a chiro and in the sports world and everything like that, and we hear so many questions about CrossFit. So I'm going to ask you the question that I'm asked the most. Is CrossFit bad for you? My straight answer is no, right? So the straight up answer is no. But here's the things that people confuse. They confuse what they see on television, with what actually happens in real life. And it would be like me, to give a comparison, it would be like me not playing high school football because of what I saw in the NFL, right? The injury rates in the NFL are not comparable to the injury rates in high school football, just like the injury rates in CrossFit in the elite level are not comparable to the ones that you see in the gyms. And I shouldn't even say the injury rates, I should say the activities. Right? So how hard people hit, like those guys in the NFL, I mean, you're talking an average of probably 220 pounds or more. These guys are running, low fours. They're like Mack trucks hitting each other, right? But people don't have the power and speed to do that at a younger age group and stuff like that, or a less mature age group or less mature ability level. So when you talk about the sport of CrossFit, now, I think that you have an argument to say whether something is good or bad or has a life frame, right? And that could be said for all elite level sports. So I don't think it's fair to say, hey, is CrossFit good or bad based upon what you see on television? Because we could probably make an argument that it's bad to be an elite runner, that's bad to be an elite gymnast, that's bad to be, elite anything, right? Because once you get to a certain pinnacle of skill set, I mean, let's face it, it's hard to stay at that level. And a lot of times these guys are running so high at the peak that it's easy to fall off either side. As a functional fitness and a general preparation for life, man, I know that you do it yourself. And I can't say about it. I try.
You try. You do a good job.
I'm the best one in my basement gym. I win the WOD challenge every time. Every time. I never miss.
So there are just so many great things about it. Variety of movements. right? Variety of load, okay? Variety of intensity. These are all things that replicate life. And I don't think that there's a better way to prepare for life. Like, for instance, I think it's funny, like, when I'm not a huge warm-up guy, and I know that sometimes will boggle people's mind. I'm a lot bigger of a cool-down guy, but like, I don't think that people can warm up to, pick up their luggage and put it in the top shelf in the airplane. I don't think that if you got to jump out of the way of a car that almost hits you, you get to stretch and stuff like that before that. So having generalized athletic ability, I don't know if you want to call it athletic ability, having generalized like agility, power, speed, like, and it doesn't have to be at an elite level. We're talking at like a humanistic level. I think that there's nothing better in the combination of those things: variety of intensity, variety of movements, variety of load, that does it better than a CrossFit scenario.
Well, for someone who's really bad at it, but does it as exercise, you're really good at it. You didn't tell anybody. I think you came in the top 100 one time in like the Northeast.
Yeah, I did well a couple times. I wouldn't really say that I'm up there anymore. That, like, again, I think it's one of those things where the sport has grown, and it's grown so quickly. I think that has something to say for it as well too. You have to realize the sport is really young, right? Mm-hmm. So even if you think of it, if you want to go back to like Greg Glassman talking about the founder founding it like back in the late 90s, I guess like 97 or something like that is kind of like when it started. But then like the first CrossFit competition, I think, was 2007. So that was like 10 years. So even if you want to go back to 97, but nobody knew about 97, yeah. Like, it was like, it didn't really come out until like, right, 2007 and maybe a couple years before, right? Think about that in comparison to, any other elite sport that we see, right? So you went from having a couple hundred CrossFitters to a couple thousand to a couple 100,000 to several 100,000 in the sport of, in the span of less than a decade. So guess what? There's going to be some bad apples in every tree. Like, it's just the expansion of it happened so quickly that maybe the level of teaching didn't initially equal the level of growth. But the only thing that I could say about it, I'm not like trying to kiss up to CrossFit or anything, is like the education that has kind of come in the second wave, the way that these guys are really like working, and gals are really working so hard at their education level, understanding more about how people move and their body mechanics and whatnot, understanding how to evaluate, understanding how to screen. It's not just teaching like a clean and a snatch and a deadlift anymore. These people are educated people, and you see that result passing forward. I just think it took a little bit for the education level to catch up with the growth of the sport. It happened so quick,
It did. It was a wildfire. So I don't mean to change gears on you, but and everybody knows, rock tape's really, really popular. How'd you get involved with rock tape?
So that's kind of funny. I got involved with rock tape through CrossFit. So I was out up in Canton, Massachusetts, which is weird because I ended up here now. Well, not in Canton, but I ended up in Mass. I'm from Pennsylvania. So I was volunteering in the medical, field of that. And rock tape started to sponsor like the medical tent for CrossFit. And they were providing, things like kinesiology tape and different things. And through that, I met the founder, Greg Vanderdries. Well, not the founder. He was the owner then. I think he took it over from a different person, but semantics, right? So I met Greg Vanderdries, and from there, we just had a really good relationship. I started doing some other things that were outside of CrossFit. We did some Spartan races and some things like that where I was just working with rock tape, and then they invited me out to teach. Teaching's always been a thing, a passion of mine. So I was teaching for a different company before that. And I kind of just shifted gears into the rock tape because it was such a good product, and I just liked their ideals. Super, super great company.
Yeah, in the rock tape, there's the tape, you have movement. I think you have some instrument assisted, some cupping, as I recall, things like that.
Yeah, rock tape, it's hard to get away from the kinesiology name, the kinesiology taping name, because that's definitely something they were founded on. But they have the saying that they are a movement company that dabbles in tape. And I love the way that they have also progressed. It's not a super old company either. Like Rock Tape itself is probably less than 10 years old, but they started out, with that first modality of kinesiology tape, but quickly realized that what they were trying to do is improve people's quality of movement, because with increasing quality of movement came increasing the quality of life, right? The better we move, the more we move, right? The more we move, the healthier we typically are. So with that being said, they have implemented additional strategies, and those have carried out into classes and whatnot. And their educational network is by far some of the most interactive that I've ever been. And I know I have a bias to that because I'm part of that.
You're good, man. It's okay. It's okay. It's good. It's a good deal. It's a good deal.
Yeah, but I've been to my fair share of courses. Getting my CCSP, getting my diplomate, and then going and doing like my CSCS. I've been to a bunch of seminars in my life, and this just overall the consistency, because we teach an instrument-assisted course, which is called the Blades. We teach the kinesiology taping, which we call FMT Basic and Performance, and then now we have a PODS course, which is our cupping course, myofascial flossing course, which we call a rock floss course. So there's just all these different strategies, and people ask all the time, like, why do you use one versus the other? And a lot of times I don't have a great answer. It's a tool in a toolbox. Not everybody responds the same way. You, as somebody that works heavily in nutrition, if it was as easy as just saying, hey, do this at X, Y, and Z, we'd be talking to you on your yacht outside of the island that you own, and a 10-page book that you read. Human bodies, they don't all respond exactly the same to the exact same stimulus. So that's what we see with that.
All good stuff. And being a chiropractor and in the field, Rock Tape's got a great reputation, and the fact that you've expanded, and you see so many other people expanding in the same kind of idea, cupping, and like you said. But I want to ask a couple of questions about you. We have a few minutes left. Tell me about Boston Injury Rehab Performance, and what's your approach to healthcare?
So Boston Injury Rehab Performance, we call BURP. Actually, you can kind of see it behind me. I'm just in the front of it there. So my nature for everything, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's my belief, and it's where I've found the best results, is continually going back to strength and conditioning. I believe in 4 stages, so to speak, of the way I look at and evaluate and treat patients. I first look at mobility, right? So do they have the range of motion? Are they physically able to do the task that they're asked? Because are they limited, like physically limited by a range of motion issue? And if they are, then that is the first priority. The second thing that I look at is, are they stable through that range of motion? Do they have enough range of motion? Are they stable? And if they have enough range of motion, they're stable, then we have to look at, are they strong, right? Because stability and strength has an inverse relationship, right? So a little kid could stand just as well as an adult, but if you put 200 pounds on a little kid, 200 pounds on an adult, you're going to have dramatically different effects. And that's because of a strength issue, not because of, we call this motor control and whatnot, but we'll boil it down to stability, right? So one could remain stable due to the proportion of strength, right? So are they mobile enough? Are they stable? If they're stable enough, are they strong, right? And then if they are strong, are they conditioned, right? Because fatigue also has an inverse relationship on strength. And if you have an inverse relationship on strength, as strength goes down, stability goes down. Funny enough, as we become less stable, what also happens? We become less mobile, right? So my big thing is, I'm a huge active protocol person. Like I don't have any heat. I don't have any ice. I don't have any stim units. I don't have when you come into my office, we work with manual therapy, manipulations, whether they go grade 1 through 5, right? If needed, stabilizations if needed, and then strength and conditioning. Every single person in my office leaves with some sort of strength and conditioning work, because I'm sure at the end of the day, whatever we do in that short period of time, that I work with people between a half hour, 40 minutes, and an hour, depending on the patient that comes in. So I'm lucky because I'm a cash-based practice. So everything that I do, it's just time, right? I'm not limited by the parameters of our medical system. But I'm a true believer that our world is a deconditioning, right? Weakening society. And I don't mean that like detrimentally. I just mean that it's an honest thing. We have become a more sedentary lifestyle population. The top 3 causes of death now are related to acquired illnesses rather than like back in the day when we used to get the plague and stuff like that, right? The better that we move is solely dependent on our durability, our strength and our conditioning and that overall package. We call it resilience sometimes, so I'm a huge believer in strength and conditioning. And I think that once people get out of acute situations, that they need to be able to strengthen and condition around those things. And overall, I just think that everyone should get to a point where they're not limited by physical ability. Like if your car breaks down, I sound like I'm talking about only elite athletes, but if your car breaks down, you should be able to go get, a 3-gallon can of gas and carry it back to your car without having a cardiovascular incident. That should be able to happen, right? You should be able to go out and have a hamburger without having a cholesterol problem. These are things, creating these buffer zones in life through balance and healthy habits. I think that's my overall approach for everything. If that answers that question, I don't know if it does.
No, you did great. You did great. You answered all the questions there and about healthcare, and you really spoke about the idea of having active care. And I agree with you that we have to get more people active care, and you're using exercise with mobilization. And you probably, when you said the mobilization in my head, I know everybody knows joint, but you were also talking about extracellular matrix, fascia, with all the cupping and everything you're talking about.
We can talk about that all day. We can do another whole podcast, on that type of fascial mobilization and everything else. I mean, the thing is I think Gil Henley, Gil Henley talks about buzz speech, right? He talks about solidifying, right? And I think it's so funny because I have a quote that says, the technology's brought the world to our fingertips, but it's been at the expense of movement. So back in the day, survival used to equal how well you could move, right? You had to move more efficiently than your predators to survive, and predators had to move more efficiently than their prey to survive, and that was that balance. It was Darwinianism, you know what I mean? And today we almost breed mediocrity, and we think that that's okay because we don't have to do the same things that we did to survive. But the funny thing and almost the ironic thing is it still comes back at us, right? Because we're dying in different ways, right? So our overall health and our overall ability to do things is directly correlated to our quality of life.
Absolutely. And our movement stinks. And that's, like you said, it's a great line about the fingertips at the expense of our movement. We're not moving. And normally when I do this, I sit up. It's just we couldn't get the table right. Sitting's the new smoking and all that. Again, we should do another podcast. Love to have you come back again. I was curious. Why don't you give our viewers, before we sign off, your motto?
My motto. So my motto in life, I'm actually getting it put up in vinyl back here, but it says the only worthless knowledge is the knowledge you don't share. And I'm probably pretty sure I stole it or somehow manipulated it from some other text, but I would like to say that I'm like the first wave of like new healthcare providers. Like when I say that, I mean my age group, like my graduating age group. I think that there's a large distinction between healthcare providers, say 15 to 20 years ago. And I know I'm going to get beat up for this one, but growing up, like, and being around healthcare providers and whatnot, it seemed like everyone always wanted to hide something from each other. Like they needed that special nugget to get somebody else in there. And I was always so against that because me coming out of chiropractic school, just like CrossFit, we battle these, like sometimes these detrimental dogmas, these pessimistic outlooks as like, they're all there. Once you go to a chiropractor, you got to keep on going, all those type of things. Right. And being like this young person that just wanted everyone to live the best life they could. Like I'm so passionate about that. And sometimes I come off fake. Like sometimes it's like, I'm so passionate about it, I'm fake. I just got so sick of like listening to these people almost like not want to share the knowledge that they had. So I'm like, why have it? You know what I mean? Like I spent all this money learning the things that I did, and it's useless. It's absolutely useless if I don't share it with everyone that I can. And I think that even goes back to like my CrossFit days, right? Where I coached CrossFit for a long time. I started back in 2009 coaching CrossFit, and I did it all the way up until, pretty much I moved away. But like I had very few injury rates in class. Like I can remember one. But the short story on that is I'm not this magical coach. I simply had a better education and a better understanding of movement at that time than the other people that were working around me. And that people don't enter a gym. It doesn't matter if it's CrossFit or anything else, or running or cycling, swimming. No one enters something trying to get hurt. But it happens through ignorance, right? It happens through the inability to identify a dangerous situation. So, I mean, the motto came as the driving force for WodDoc, right? My goal is to continually share and to break down those barriers of this is my information, that's your information. I'm a PT, you can only do that. I'm a chiro, you can only do that. I'm an ATC, I'm a doctor, I'm an MD. Like, all these things. The common goal should be for the improvement of whoever's in front of you, that patient, that client, right? So like huddling those things into these little packages that we don't share, man, it's worthless. If you know something that can help somebody, I think you owe a right to be able to share that,
I agree. Knowledge is power. Share it so they can implement it. That was great. Just remember, it's that center candle that can light all the other candles, just like you were saying. Man, this has been fun. You've been great. Why don't you tell everybody where they can get in contact with you?
Yeah, super simple to get in contact with me. Anything that you type in WodDoc on the internet, that's WODDOC. You can pretty much find me. So if you forget WodDoc, WodDoc.com, just anything like that. The easiest way to get in contact with me. Also, I guess that's my website as well. So just type in WodDoc, you'll find it.
Dr. Tim, an educator, an elite chiropractor, sports rehab guy with burp.
Yeah, burp.
That was great. That was great. So, guys, Dr. Rob here, Proven Health Alternatives. We'll see you next time.